I want to create a world in which my son is proud of what we do. I hope we don't go back to some of the practices in the past that, Harry and I had to grow up in.
The royal family has confirmed heartbreaking news about Prince William, leaving the entire nation in shock after weeks of quiet concern and growing speculation. Buckingham Palace has finally released an official statement that changes everything. The devastating revelation has touched hearts around the world, leaving royal watchers and fans deeply shaken. So, what happened to the future king that the palace could no longer keep secret? Today, we uncover the full story behind this emotional royal announcement, the long night before the crown. That night, the palace was unusually still. Even for Windsor, the silence felt heavy, the kind that makes every sound seem louder. In the dim glow of the courtyard lights, Prince William quietly stepped out of a side entrance, his coat pulled tight, his expression unreadable. To an outsider, it might have looked like a simple late-night walk. But those who knew him could sense that something was wrong. Something was happening behind the palace walls, something that could change everything. Inside, a few aides noticed the prince leaving. None dared to ask questions. "He said not to wait up," one whispered, though her trembling voice showed her unease. It wasn't the first time they'd seen that distant look in his eyes, the same look he had before every difficult decision. Upstairs, papers and letters lay scattered across his desk, along with old photographs and a notebook marked with the royal crest. One page lay open, the ink still fresh, as if he had been writing just moments before he left. Meanwhile, at Adelaide Cottage, the Princess of Wales sat awake in the quiet drawing room. The children slept peacefully upstairs, unaware of the tension that filled the night. A cold cup of tea rested beside her, untouched. Kate's eyes lingered on a photograph from the early days of their marriage, a time when duty hadn't yet replaced simplicity. She brushed her fingers across William's smiling face and whispered, "Please let him be all right." Outside, the wind rose, carrying faint sounds through the trees. The moon was hidden behind clouds, and mist covered the roads leading away from Windsor. William's car moved steadily through the countryside, headlights cutting through the darkness. He sat in silence, hands clasped, eyes fixed on the empty road ahead. The driver said nothing. He knew better than to speak at moments like this. William's reflection in the window looked older, heavier. After a long pause, he whispered to himself, "It has to be done." No one in the palace yet knew what he meant. But rumors were already spreading. Insiders said that William was preparing to take bold, unprecedented steps as his father's health declined. A new reign would mean new rules, and William's vision for the crown was unlike anything Britain had ever seen. He dreamed of a smaller, stronger monarchy, one built on service, not ceremony. Whispers said he was ready to act quickly, to make decisions that would shock even the most seasoned courtiers. By midnight, the palace halls were nearly silent. Only 2 aides remained, waiting though they had been told to go home. The elder of the two, a man who had served the royals for over 30 years, sighed softly. "He's been carrying something heavy," he murmured.
Right now and hopefully in the future, rather than just the debate concentrating on what we need to give up, what we can't do.
"He's been carrying something heavy," the older aide murmured. The younger one nodded. "But he never says a word about it." The older man glanced toward the grand staircase, where echoes of footsteps once filled the palace with life. "That's what worries me most," he said softly. "When he stops talking, it means the decision's already been made." Back at Windsor, Kate stood from her chair and walked to the window. Outside, the garden shimmered in pale silver light. The roses William had planted earlier that summer were now just bare stems trembling in the wind. Her reflection in the glass looked ghostly. Tired eyes, pale skin, and a heart weighed down by something she couldn't name. The clock struck 1. Still no message. She exhaled slowly and forced a faint smile. "He always comes home," she whispered. But even she didn't believe it tonight. Hours later, as the sky began to lighten, the car finally returned to the palace gates. William stepped out slowly, the first rays of dawn brushing across his face. He nodded to the guard without a word and walked back inside. The two aides instantly rose when they saw him. "Your Royal Highness," one asked carefully. "Is everything all right?"
Who have had to endure suicide is a lot of unanswered questions that...
William paused for a long moment, his eyes distant. Then he simply said, "It's been a long night. Get some rest." With that, he disappeared down the corridor, his footsteps echoing against the marble floors. Inside his study, the fire had burned out, leaving the room faintly scented with smoke and rain. William sat back at his desk and opened the notebook he had left behind. He read over the words he had written earlier, careful lines forming the outline of a plan. A monarch's duty, he reminded himself, was never about comfort. It was about sacrifice. And soon, the world would see just how far he was willing to go. He set down his pen, rubbed his temples, and leaned back in his chair as exhaustion finally caught up with him.
Really, we were happy to show him off to whoever wanted to see him. As any new parent knows, you're only too happy to show off your...
By sunrise, the palace was awake. Staff moved quietly, their footsteps softer than usual. A strange, uneasy calm filled the halls. At Windsor, Kate's phone buzzed. A message from the palace. Her heart froze before she even read it. She already knew something had changed. The fairy tale calm that had defined their lives was gone, replaced by the sharp weight of duty and consequence. Somewhere between that silent drive through the mist and the first light of dawn, the future King of England had made a decision, one that would shake the monarchy to its core. The world still slept, unaware that history had just shifted, and that the crown, once steady and predictable, was now in the hands of a man ready to redefine it. But what really happened behind those palace gates that morning? Let's step into the moment that changed everything. The day the palace fell silent. The air outside Buckingham Palace was unusually still that morning, the kind of silence that feels like it's holding its breath. Reporters had gathered early, cameras pointed at the grand black gates, their lenses fogged by the cold. Something was coming. Everyone could feel it, but no one dared to guess what. Even the birds seemed to keep their distance, as if nature itself sensed that what was about to unfold would leave its mark on history. Then, as the clock struck 9, the great doors opened. A royal spokesperson stepped out, pale, tense, gripping a folded paper as if it weighed 1,000 pounds. The murmurs stopped instantly. Cameras went still. Time seemed frozen. When the spokesperson finally spoke, their voice was calm but heavy, carrying a sorrow that words could barely contain. "On behalf of His Majesty the King and the entire royal family," they began, "it is with great regret that we confirm His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, is currently facing a serious health challenge." The words struck like thunder in a cathedral. Reporters stood frozen, too shocked to react. One young journalist gasped, "Oh no," before quickly covering her mouth. The rest just stared at the palace, which now seemed colder, quieter, almost mournful. The statement was brief but piercing. The prince, it said, was receiving the best possible care, surrounded by his family. The king was deeply concerned and had asked the public for privacy.
Humans have an extraordinary capacity to set goals and strive to achieve them.
Those two words, deeply concerned, were enough to send a ripple through the crowd. Everyone knew what they meant. This wasn't routine. It was serious, perhaps more serious than the palace dared to admit. Within minutes, the news spread across London. Screens in cafes, train stations, and bus stops all displayed the same headline: Prince William faces serious health battle. People stopped mid-commute, staring at the words as if reading them again might somehow change the truth. A woman buying flowers near the mall whispered, "Not William. He's always been so strong." A taxi driver near Green Park shook his head and muttered, "That family's been through enough." Inside the palace, the air felt heavy with unease. Staff moved quietly, their usual chatter replaced by hushed voices and downcast eyes. In a private study overlooking the gardens, King Charles sat at his desk, hands folded, his face pale and drawn. The grey London sky cast a cold light through the window, deepening the lines of worry around his eyes. Beside him stood Queen Camilla, her voice low but steady. "He's always been our strength," she said gently, placing a hand on the king's shoulder. "Now he needs ours." Charles didn't respond right away. He just nodded slowly, his eyes distant.
Aged 25 when she became queen, and me being 29. And
as the palace remained silent and the world held its breath, one thing became clear. This moment will be remembered as a turning point in royal history. The strength of a nation now rests on hope, faith, and unity. As we wait for updates, keep Prince William and the royal family in your thoughts, and stay with us as we continue to follow this unfolding story.